Welcome back to the Here's the Deal channel. Thank you for joining me. Here's the deal are the last three words you usually hear from a government functionary before you lose most, if not all, of your rights. And I am not a lawyer. I'm not giving legal advice, but there's some common sense stuff that you should know, namely prior restraint. You need to know what your rights are. And I'm still on the fence about whether we have rights or not. It's more like nobody's got the right to infringe on your freedoms. It seems like that's weightier than saying everybody has this amount of rights. And then there are black robe tyrants who are responsible for interpreting what those rights are and how they apply in our lives. It's better to say, nobody's got the right to steal from you or damage your property without justly paying you for your property. Nobody's got the right to infringe on your freedom to own a firearm, whatever firearm you want. Nobody's got a right to infringe on you engaging in the free market. Nobody's got a right to keep you from recording in public. Nobody's got that right. If somebody does have that right, and somebody says, well, my group of people, my thin blue line tyrants, or my legal team, or this Supreme Court, these Supreme Court justices have more rights than you, and we're going to call that qualified immunity. Now we got a little problem because it's like, well, we didn't tell you you didn't have rights. We're just telling you these people over here, this special group of people, because they have badges, they have costumes, and they have utility belts, and they have black robes, and they call themselves governor or senator or congressman or president. They have more rights than you. It seems like it's a better world if we say, you know what? It's more than you don't have or that you have rights. It's more that these people don't have a right to infringe on your freedom as long as you are not harming somebody, threatening to harm somebody, damaging somebody's peace, damaging somebody's property, damaging somebody's ability to be prosperous. You know, your right to swing your fist would end where somebody else's nose begins, supposedly. But, you know, the bottom line is you don't have a right to swing your fist in the direction of somebody who might be threatened by your fist coming at a high rate of speed toward their face. So I wanted to go over this right here. So I'm not giving legal advice, but we're going to employ some common sense terminology. We're going to employ some common sense angles on how to look at this. And sometimes it's better to have no advice than to have bad advice, because a lot of times people will accept bad advice as good advice. They'll try to employ that bad advice, and then they get into some serious trouble and are left with some serious regret afterward. This comes from a YouTube channel called The Biker Lawyers PC, and the title of the video is 5 things you must remember if you get pulled over. 5 things you must remember. Now, some of this advice is good, but at least one bit of this advice is absolutely horrible, and it's probably a really, really bad idea for you to follow this advice. Let's go ahead and move along with this. I will be making some comments along the way.
If it ends up in front of a prosecutor, the prosecutor's probably going to not bring charges. And even if they do, you're probably going to beat those charges.
Welcome to the Biker Rebellion. I'm your host, Ginger, here with founding member of the Biker Lawyers, Pete Leahy. Now, Pete, today we're going to talk a little bit about what to do when the police stop you. So what's your first piece of advice out there for bikers, for people on cars, for anybody?
The first thing you need to do is make a judgment call on whether you're in a situation where if you behave a certain way, you may well get a break.
Sure.
Versus
I absolutely, I bit my lip. That hurt. I absolutely disagree with that statement. The first thing you should do is reach for your camera and turn it on. Start recording. If you have multiple cameras, record with all the cameras that you have from all the angles that you can, because that's basically your insurance policy. Why? Because cops lie, cops are trained to lie, and cameras will never lie. It's your portable courtroom, it's your portable jury, it's your portable judge, if you will. It's your proof that it happened this way, not the way it's written in reports, because we know time after time in reports, cops are lying. They completely make something up. They pull it out of thin air. They pull it out of their derriere. They get it from wherever they want to, when and where, and they write it down, and it goes against you. There are thousands, if not tens of thousands of people in jail right now, having had their lives ruined, separated from their families, going into a rape cage, because some damn cop lied on a report. always record the police. And I'll tell you this, and I'm not making, I'm not trying to make a sale here, but I've got this right here. This is a 10 foot selfie stick right here. And I've got on the end of this selfie stick a 360 camera. That's the protective thing, but this is a 360 camera. Even if this thing was thrown to the ground, you're going to be able to record 180 degrees in a 180 degree direction. When it's up, you're recording 360 degrees. You are not missing any action below you, above you, or on any side of you. Always record. And what I like about this thing is I could just sit here. I can just press one button and the entire thing stays on until I push the button again. Watch this. I'm turning it on right now. I'm going to show you real quick. Okay, see that red light? And again, I'm not trying to sell this right here. I think I have a link to this. This is the Insta360 X4. I did a lot of research on this. This is one of the best with one of the best longest lasting batteries. But you can see right there, as long as that red light is blinking and you can tape over it, and this you can have this little deal right here where it's not record or it's not illuminating, so nobody has any idea that they're being recorded. Throw this in the back seat, put it on your dashboard. It doesn't matter. It's going to record, and it's got really, really good audio. So you can hear it. It's almost like 360 audio. It's really good stereo. And as long as we've got that, you can put a piece of electrical tape over that and over this right here so nobody can see that it's blinking. You can make sure that this thing goes off after 30 seconds right here, and you're recording constantly. I will have an Amazon link in there if you want to purchase this, and I get just a small pittance, and we do benefit on the channel for that. But this is one good example. See, now I click that button right there, and now you've got the blue light, and then it just turns off, and it saves all your information. You can actually, there's a function on here where you can store the information on an extra or on the cloud. And so even if they did try to destroy this and get the SIM card or the SD card, they can't destroy it because it's already been uploaded to the cloud. It's too late. We already got what you said. We already got what you did, officer. We already got the drugs you planted or the gun that you planted. We already got the fact that you're going to lie in the report, and there's nothing you can do about it. So the first thing, if you ever encounter cops, always record the police. And the reason I mentioned this 10-foot selfie stick is that because we have this, in some states, they're like in Indiana with Henry's in jail right now because they're trying to stick to some non-existent 25-foot law. You've got 10 feet where you can just go out and you can hover over, this thing goes 10 feet in the air, and you can even put an extender on it. You can go way far out, and it's super light. It's carbon fiber, and you can actually hover over like you're hovering a drone over the action. So, you want me 10 feet or 25 feet away? Well, I'm going to erase 10 feet of that right now, and I'm going to kind of hover over you like I'm doing a drone, because we need to keep our eyes on you, cops, because we know what you do. We know the corruption you're involved in, and we know your willingness to lie in reports to get the rest of us in trouble because you've lost your humanity when you put on that stupid costume. So the first thing you should do, in my opinion, is always record the police. Never let there be a time where you're in a situation where you're talking to a cop. I don't care if you think he's a good guy. I don't care if you guys think he's joking around and he's on your side. He is investigating. You are under an investigation, and the last thing you want to do is help that cop investigate you, because that's what he wants you to do. That's why he's lying, because he's trying to compile data so that he can put you in a database and make himself look good back at the department, get a plaque on the wall, get accolades, possibly a promotion, possibly a raise. That's how it works. The thin blue line is not and never will be your friend. View them as the brown shirts. View them as the Gestapo, because that's the way they're acting. They have earned every ounce, every nanoparticle of hatred that you can possibly muster up. If you think I'm wrong, if maybe you're a former cop and you're in the chat room right now, maybe you're a police officer and you completely disagree. No, I'm a good cop. Good. If you're a good cop, then I got some questions for you. Do you enforce the drug laws, the drug war laws? Do you arrest your fellow officers for enforcing the drug war laws? If the answer to that one question is no, you're not a good cop. Do you enforce any of the gun laws? Because we do have a supreme law of the land. It's supposed to be the Second Amendment. You're supposed to have the right to keep and bear arms, and that right shall not be infringed. Do you infringe on that right with red flag gun confiscation laws or any of these other nonsense laws like in Connecticut or Massachusetts or California or New York? If you do, then you're anti-Second Amendment. If you're anti-Second Amendment, you're anti-human being. If you're anti-human being, then you are a criminally minded cop who is not good. If you disagree with that, let me know. So I disagree with this guy. The very first thing you should do when there's a possibility that you might encounter a cop is always record the police. And the more cameras you got, the more directions you can record from, the better. But wait till you hear this horrible, horrible piece of advice.
If you don't think that's going to happen and kind of see how things are shaken down with the officer, you may need to go a different direction and go into immediate protect yourself mode.
Always be in protect yourself mode. Always. I don't even understand this. There's no world in which we live where you shouldn't be in protect yourself mode when you're in the presence of a law enforcement agent. He's a state agent. He's not a human agent. He's not for freedom. He's for the regulation and the regulatory agency and for the legalese and for the political parasite class. They're not for you.
Okay, so we have two different potential scenarios already. We have one with friendly cop and we have one with very unfriendly cop. And they're pretty quick to let you know which version they are, at least based on personal experience.
There is no friendly cop. When they act like they're a friendly cop, they're the most dangerous cop because now they're the villainous cop. They've got the fangs, they've got the claws, they've got the evil eye on their investigative measures against you. They just haven't shown you yet. They've got a mask on. And that's the most dangerous kind, because at least with the guys who are showing their fangs and their claws, it's like, at least you know, it's WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get.
Point.
You bring up friendly versus angry. Don't let yourself get lulled to sleep by that either. I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not saying that all law enforcement are bad or even a significant portion of them.
This guy's a lawyer who's giving advice to people who might encounter cops. I'm not saying all law enforcement is bad. Hey, if your profession, and I'm telling you, I'm going to put it on the line right now. If your profession is you voluntarily signed on the dotted line, nobody made you do this. Nobody coerced you. Nobody forced you. You put your name on the dotted line saying, I will protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and you become the very domestic enemy you swore that you would protect the people from by saying, and I will uphold all the laws of the United States and all the laws of my state, most of which are evil, unnecessary, and downright criminal, i.e. drug war laws, gun confiscation laws, civil asset forfeiture. You got to be kidding me. There's so many laws that are antithetical to freedom and humanity, but the cop is going to swear to uphold those evil laws. If you swear voluntarily to uphold evil laws, you are swearing to do evil to your fellow human beings in the name of doing good. And those who call evil good or put bitter for sweet, sweet for bitter, darkness for light, and light for darkness are psychopaths.
I'm talking about those rare.
If you disagree, we are on a live stream. Air your grievances and air your disagreement out in the chat room. I want to hear a logical explanation or a logical argument against what I just said. And I'm willing to entertain that.
Occasions where an officer does have an agenda.
Yeah, the live chat is working. Why not ask if the live chat is working? The live chat is working. I do see, I'm trying to pay attention to this because I want to focus my attention on the fact that oftentimes, it's better to have no advice than extremely bad advice like this guy's getting. We're going to get to the segment and the issue of prior restraint, which is very important. If you don't know what prior restraint is, if you don't know how it works, if you don't know what the definition of it is, or what it looks like, or who can actually inflict and initiate prior restraint, you got to stay tuned. This is very important.
And they are trying to back you into a corner and get you to convict yourself of something. So an officer might come off as very friendly, but when they start asking things like,
where have you been?
Sure.
Where are you going? Have you been drinking?
These are questions that are more along the line of they're fishing and they're looking for something else to charge you with.
Gotcha. So the moment they start getting into a conversation,
that's true. I didn't even have this on the screen. That's true. I'm gonna give him that because that's true. You do not want to answer questions, but you don't want to tell them I don't answer questions. That's not how you should go at it, because as soon as you answer a question after you said I'm not going to answer any questions, now you've made yourself a hypocrite. Well, you just said you weren't going to do this and now you're doing it. Now you're spilling the beans. Now you're answering questions. What's up? I don't answer questions is not a good way to go. Now you can be choosy and you can be specific and you can say, well, Mr. Agent of the state, Mr. Agent who's against all that is human, there are certain questions that I will choose to answer if I want to, and there are certain questions I will choose not to answer, and that will be my discretion. Or you could just say, you know what, I right now exercise my right and invoke my right to be silent under the Fifth Amendment that you're supposed to be upholding.
Tone, and they start asking questions about your life and what's happening. Now we're past the friendly side. Now we're more towards they're fishing for something else, so we need to be protective.
It's time to go on alert, because you do not have to sit there and answer just any questions that a law enforcement officer might ask. If it's a legitimate traffic stop, they have a right to see your driver's license. They have a right to see your registration. They have a right to see your proof of insurance, and they really don't have a...
If there is a legitimate traffic stop, did you know that under the Constitution, highlight the 3 letters of that word, con, under the Constitution, there is no room for anything called traffic law. And we have a U.S. code, 18 U.S.C. 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. Do you know how many rights and freedoms have been trampled under the color of traffic law? Every single time you didn't activate your blinker 50 feet from the traffic sign, you got a burnout tail light, your license plate light isn't properly illuminated, you're going 7 miles an hour over the speed limit. And then not only do they trample your rights and steamroll over your freedoms in the land of the free, home of the brave, now they're going to economically terrorize you, because traffic stops are a revenue generating windfall for agents of the state. Just ask the people in Brookside, Alabama, for one example. Do you know how much in generated revenue just in speeding tickets are issued every single year? This is just in 1 year in the United States alone, 6.2 to 6.8, not million, but $1 billion. It's like $11,254 every single minute of every single day right here in the land of the free, home of the brave. That's how much money it generates just in speeding tickets. This doesn't count seatbelt tickets or other vehicle infractions as you're driving down the road, and then they treat you as a corporate entity. Give me a freaking break. We all need to please share this video. If you haven't liked this video yet, if you like what I'm saying, if you agree with what I'm saying, if it's in concert with what the truth is and with what morality is, then hit the like button and please share this video, because every American needs to see it. Wait till we get to the good stuff here.
Right beyond any of those things.
Okay, so if they don't have those rights and they are asking these questions, what do you say?
So the first, and again, at this point, I've concluded that this officer is looking to go beyond just a routine traffic stop.
There's no such thing as a routine traffic stop. They are road pirates, and they are there to commit their roadside piracy operation against you under the color of law. Bottom line, there's no such thing as a routine traffic stop, unless you want to call it routine roadside extortion from the highwaymen.
At that point, I'm going to say, I'm sorry, sir, I don't answer questions.
Okay. And I'm assuming this is going to infuriate because you're stonewalling, right? And it's a correct stonewall, but it's still a stonewall. So you're probably going to piss off the officer a little bit with that. What do you do when they come back at you with anything? Because they may come back with you with something to the degree of
Just answer the fucking question.
You know,
you need to stick with what you've already said, and that is, I don't answer questions.
Just keep it calm, monotone. This is going to be the response all the way in and out.
Yes.
Okay.
You stay respectful and you say, I don't answer questions.
Now, what if they start commanding you to do things where they tell you, hey, okay, get out of the car? What do you do then?
That's the typical example. Get out of the car, come back to my vehicle with me. You need to look at them and say, sir, is that a request or a command?
Okay. And if they tell you it's a request?
I don't know if I like that. Because of course the cop is going to opt for it's a command, not a request. And under Pennsylvania v. Mims, you need to catch him off the guard and say, can I just ask you a real quick question? Is little old me causing you, big, gruff, protected, trained, highly armed officer, am I causing you to fear for your safety or your life in any way? If he says no, you don't have to get out of the car. You know why? Because Pennsylvania versus Mims is contingent on the officer being unsure about his safety, thinking you might have a firearm. So if he says no, then there's no ground. He just pulled the rug of Pennsylvania versus Mims out from under himself. So what you need to do is play the psychological game with the cop that he is fully intended on playing with you. Ask him, catch him off guard. Nobody, I guarantee you, in his 15-year veteran of the force career, he's never had somebody say, has little old me caused you to fear for your life? And of course, he's got an ego, so he's going to have to protect. No, you don't make me fear for my life. I've got training. I've got backup. I've got a Kevlar vest on. I've got weapons that you don't even know about. Weapons that you wouldn't believe. We have beautiful weapons. They're wonderful weapons. You got his ego right where you want it. No, you don't make me fear for my life. Then according to Pennsylvania versus Mims, I can't get out of the car because there's no reason for me to. You don't fear for your safety. Just get him in that verbal jujitsu he's trying to get you in, because he's trying to investigate you and he's trying to compile data on you so he can slam you. Anything you say or do can and will be used against you in a court of law. It doesn't say might be used against you. It doesn't say anything you can say or do will work for you in a court of law. They're looking for something to come against you with, to beat you in the head with.
Then you say, I decline, sir.
And if they say it's a command,
Even if they're wrong, even if they don't have the authority to make you get out of your car, if they say it's a command, you get out and you do what they're commanding you to do. And by the way, let me back up to at the start of this stop. Hopefully you've had the foresight to turn on a video camera.
You should have thought of that before. This guy's a lawyer. This is what he does for a living. And the first thing he didn't say was turn under all circumstances. Make sure your phone is charged. Make sure there's plenty of data on it. Make sure you go live. Make sure you got plenty of cameras on board so you can get their criminality, because it is criminality. It's roadside piracy. They intend on harming you in some way. Record. Don't trust them. If you're not recording, you're basically saying, without saying it, you're saying with your actions, I trust this cop. No harm can come to me at the hands of this guy. He's obviously here to protect and serve, right?
Almost all of us carry one in our pocket. Turn on the video camera so it doesn't come down to the officer's word versus yours, because guess what? The jury's going to believe the cop.
Yep.
and what if they tell you to turn off the video camera?
Is that a request or a command?
And if it's a command,
You turn it off.
Oh, there you go. Who in the room believes what he just said? If the cop requests or commands, if he commands that you turn it off, here, look, let's see it again. Look.
open off the.
Guess what? The jury's going to believe the cop.
And what if they tell you to turn off the video camera?
Is that a request or a command?
And if it's a command,
You turn it off.
You turn it off. And they even put it up here. You turn it off. They put it up there in letters, big and bold.
video camera.
Is that a request or a command?
And if
Try
it's a
to catch
command,
You turn it off.
You turn it off. If the cop who wants to do you harm, if he's telling you to turn it off, he's definitely wanting to do you harm. And a lawyer who gives advice about what cops are doing to you, a lawyer's advice is turn off your camera. That is the worst advice I have ever heard anybody say. And this is this guy's livelihood. He is counseling people on how to interact with cops, saying, yeah, you turn it off. If a cop is telling you to turn it off, he's actually using his authority to intimidate you. And that is unjust. This is called prior restraint. And this refers to the government's action of preventing the publication or dissemination of any information, including your recorded information, before it reaches the public. It is considered, even by the courts, as one of the most serious and least tolerable infringements on freedom of speech and press, because it involves censorship before the fact rather than after the fact. So prior restraint is worse than you publishing something and then getting censored after you publish it. It is the cop basically saying, I don't want you to publish what I'm about to do to you, because what I'm about to do to you is probably highly illegal and definitely immoral. and against my police policy and a violation of deprivation of rights under color of law. And so when the officer commands you to turn it off, this lawyer whose job it is to protect clients is saying, if a cop commands you to turn it off, you turn it off. If I was a lawyer, I'd be like, dude, give me something to work with. I get emails every day. Brian, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? The very first question I will ever ask you is, did you record it? Because from the perspective of the judge, from the perspective of the jury, from the perspective of the law enforcement agency who got you into the trouble that you need help from their perspective, if you didn't record it, it didn't happen. They will actually view a police report if there is no other recording that challenges what's in the police report. They will view the police report as gospel truth. They will view a police report as though it were video evidence itself. That's how much they believe corrupt law enforcement officers. So this lawyer whose job it is to protect their clients is saying, if a cop commands you to turn your recorder off and you're recording 360 degrees in all directions and you got their criminal acts on video, turn it off. If you agree with this guy, put a 1 in the room. If you think he is freaking out of his cotton picking mind, put hell no in the chat room. Turn it off. That is just it's not even un-American. It's inhuman. It's inhuman. Turn off the only piece of evidence that I have to show that I am innocent and the cop is guilty of criminality. Turn that off. It's like telling Philando Castile's girlfriend in Minnesota, turn off your live stream, Facebook live stream, while your boyfriend is getting filled full of holes, so many holes that he's Swiss cheese at the end. It's like saying, boy, I wish that Philip Brailsford's body cam short-circuited so we didn't have the outright murder of Daniel Shaver on video. It's like telling Matthew Schneider, hey, deactivate your body cam and dash cam before you torture and tase Johnny Wheatcroft in front of his screaming kids. If we didn't have that video evidence, we would have never seen this. And even with the video evidence, Matthew Schneider doesn't even see 1 day in jail. Philip Brailsford he gets acquitted, even with video camera evidence. Never, ever turn your recorder off. I don't care how serious the command is. I don't care if 20 cops show up on the scene and say in unison, turn off your camera. This is a lawful order. You don't do it. You don't do it.
Okay, but now we're into murky territory. That said, now that video is going to go in front of a jury that they commanded it to go off, and they should still have their body cam footage at this point.
Oh, yeah, and we can trust that. Hey, don't worry, we're covered. Police Department XYZ has body cam and dash cam. I'm covered. Yeah, maybe if they release it. Maybe if they didn't redact it. Maybe if there are no edits that make the police department look good and you look bad.
In the state of Iowa.
If the officer has commanded you to turn off your camera, then they're going to be looked at not favorably by the time that gets in front of a jury, if it even gets that far. If you've got an officer that commands somebody to turn off a camera, I'm going to guess 9 times out of 10, the prosecutor is not going to bring that case.
I'm guessing. So I'm going to leave my life. My life is going to hang in the balance on a lawyer who just gave super bad advice, who's just guessing. Don't worry. If they see that the cop commanded you to turn it off, you'll be acquitted. It's going to be okay. I don't know what Dumb and Dumber kind of nonsense this is, but this guy could never, ever represent me.
Okay, fair enough. Is there...
Fair enough? Fair enough?
A scenario where you get let go? Is there a scenario where you're going to ask whether you can go?
That's a good question, because the Iowa Supreme Court has been very clear. A routine traffic stop should not take more than 10 minutes.
Okay.
So that means that if you are following protocol, and by that I mean not letting the officer wander into other territory and asking the questions of,
Where are you coming from? Where have you been? What have you been drinking?
You need to be saying, I don't answer questions, because if you start answering those questions, that can be seen as consent to continuing the interview and the stop. Whereas if your approach to those questions is, I don't answer questions, then you're shutting it down, and the cops have to conclude their business within 10 minutes. And if they don't, chances are pretty strong that the charge will never see the light of day. And if it does, it's probably going to get tossed.
Yeah, I like what Mara says. Every time a cop mutes their body cam should be a tampering with evidence charge. I agree. And it should be punishable by time in jail and recompense to the person that they just victimized.
Okay. Are there other red flags that are worth knowing when a cop stops you and it's a routine traffic stop? What are the biggest red flags in your opinion that you need to watch out for?
Do you mind if I search your cooler?
Sure. It's a very Iowa one, yes.
And your answer is, you need to be clear about this. I do not consent.
And if they tell you it's a command?
If they command, you let them do it. But again, if they command you, then they're never going to be able to bring charges out of it anyway. They don't have a right to search you or your vehicle or your motorcycle saddlebags without your consent unless they've got probable cause.
Now, from what I recall, there's a difference between what is in your car versus what is in the back of your car, like a trunk, in terms of what they're allowed to look at, etc. Does that exist for the biker world with saddlebags? Like, is that the motorcyclist's trunk? Do different laws apply in terms of what they're allowed to look at, not look at?
Well, let's back up to what I was saying before.
Sure.
Unless they've got reasonable cause to believe there's some kind of a crime, then they do not have the authority to search anything.
Okay.
So just because you got a cooler on your back seat, that doesn't mean they get to search it because they can see the cooler. Now, if they can see a cooler and an empty beer can, you're screwed now. Now they have probable cause to search that cooler. But your first approach always needs to be, I do not consent, because without your consent, there's a good chance that any search they have and anything they find is going to be kept out of any kind of prosecution.
If I remember correctly, the term was fruit of the poisonous tree. Is that the right terminology here?
That's a term that lawyers use, yes.
Sure.
Fruit of the poisonous tree means if they screw up early on, anything that happens after their screw up, they don't get to use. Gotcha. So I do not answer questions. I do not consent if they want to search for something.
Is it a command or a request to clarify?
And yes, again, it's like, for example, if you're on a motorcycle and you want to put the kickstand down and stand up, and they say,
No, you stand there and hold that bike up.
You say, is that a request or command?
Right.
Because they really don't have the legal authority to tell you, you cannot put your kickstand down, or you cannot.
I don't even know if I like is that a request or command? Is that a policy or a law? I mean, what law? I don't even like that. Is that a policy or law? Because they can give you a one-word answer. It seems like it would be better to say, what law underpins the command you just gave me? Because if he's saying don't put your kickstand down, he's not making a request, he's making a command. It's clearly a command. It's an exclamation. Don't put your kickstand down. What law underpins the command you just gave me, officer? I mean, if anything, from the perspective of the law enforcement officer, I bet you 99% of the people won't craft a sentence like that. Exactly what law underpins, because you're a law enforcement agent, you're supposed to be enforcing the law. What law gives you the authority? And I'm using all these in quotes because all this stuff, these are just fictional legalese terms. What law underpins your right to give me that command? Cite it right now. Put him on the spot. Put him back on his heels.
Kick your leg over and sit comfortably on your motorcycle while they conduct a traffic stop.
Now, how many years of law school do you need to enforce the law as a police officer?
0.
Interesting. And are you allowed to ask for an officer's badge number?
Are you allowed? I hate that, man. I know we all slip into it from time to time, but we should probably remind one another often that we need to stop using the words like allowed or permission or permit or license. A license is just a permission slip from the government to do something that you have a perfect right to do anyway. Hunting, fishing, traveling, whatever. You have the freedom to travel. You have the freedom to fish. You have the freedom to hunt. As long as you're not harming, threatening to harm somebody else, as long as you're not out there killing 22 deer a day and just leaving them rotting in a field somewhere, as long as you're not doing things that are irresponsible, you have the freedom to go forage for food. Yeah, I killed this deer. Yes, I'm using the carcass to, make clothing or feed my family. Besides that, it's none of your business. I don't have an obligation to give you any information. So are you allowed to ask an officer as bad? It's like, are these little children right here allowed to get up and go to the bathroom, teacher? Are these little children allowed to get up? Oh, I broke my pencil. Am I allowed to get up and sharpen my pencil so that I can continue with the exam, teacher? When you say allow, when you say permit, you're basically saying somebody has a higher claim over your life and property than you, and I must get this person's permission before I can take a further action. I can't stand that stuff. I can't stand when I say it, because sometimes I'll slip up and I'll say, are we allowed to do that? Like, what are you talking about? Are you allowed? Because that's what the cop is saying when he pulls you over. You're not allowed to take your private property on the public highways unless you get a thin piece of metal from the DMV. You're not allowed to do that. We've all become little children. This is the dumbing down of society. It's the result of believing incessant lies and propaganda.
Is that something that's common? Is that worth doing?
You're allowed to, yes. Is it common? No. Is it a good idea?
You're allowed to. Oh my God. This is a lawyer talking like this. With lawyers and legalese, words matter. Definitions matter. Yeah, you're allowed to, but it's like, hey, why don't we move away from allowance language? Why don't we move away from permission language to permit, to grant a license to allow? I mean, somebody's above you, man. Is that true? No, you're a man just like I am. You're a man of the earth breathing the same air I do. You don't have a higher claim. I'm not looking to you for permission. I used to do that when I was a child. Mom, can I be excused from the dinner table? No, you're not allowed to be. What if I bought a license? Can I move away from the dinner table then?
Yes, if you're in one of these situations that's quickly turning adversarial, you ask for their number, ask for their business card.
Okay. And as far as body cam footage goes, let's say that they tell you to turn off your phone that's recording this whole, interaction. At that point, do you inform them that you expect their body cam to be on and recording?
No, that's just a little confrontational, in my opinion.
Okay.
They're supposed to have their body cams on. If they tell you to turn off your video and they haven't run a body cam, you're going to get the flip-flop in court. Now the jury's going to believe just about anything you say and just about nothing the cop says.
How can you say that? How can you say that even when you record the criminal activity of a badged costume wearing agent of the state, even then it's difficult to get a stiff sentence on an Amber Geiger who walked into the house of Botham John, the wrong address, and blew him away as he's sitting on his couch watching a movie, eating ice cream. Even when you got it on body camera footage, even when you've got the admission in court, she only gets a 1.5 years probation on a 10-year sentence. Even then, they're granted special qualified immunity and they get privileges the rest of us don't have. How much more will that be exacerbated if you don't get it on video? What's this lawyer talking about? How can this possibly be his profession? This is truly infuriating because people trust this guy. They pin their hopes on him. Well, my lawyer said if they command you not to have your video camera off, to shut it off. My lawyer, upon the advice of my lawyer, I'm going to go ahead and do that and freaking hang myself. Just go ahead and cut off your nose and spite your face.
Because requiring a motorist to turn off their camera and not running body cam footage strongly suggests that.
It sure seems like it, Rev Sean. It sure seems like it. I don't know what to tell you, and I don't want to jump to conclusion and say that these people are shills, but when you're dealing with somebody who's in an arena where he specializes in this kind of thing, and then he gives the most horrible advice, legal advice that you can possibly give somebody in a law enforcement situation. It really makes me wonder. I'm not making the assertion that they're shills. I'm not making the assertion that they're agents of some state sponsored group, but it sure does look fishy to me when this is your profession. This is what you do for a living. This is what you get paid to do, and this is the advice you give. And they so freely give it without even thinking, without hesitation.
Something improper is taking place.
Okay. And then after all of this happens, you're sitting there, they're just taking too long, kind of just going past that 10 minutes for the traffic stop. At what point do you ask them, am I free to go?
I think that's a judgment call, but definitely if you've been sitting there for 10 minutes, it's time to say, am I free to go? But it may well be appropriate sooner than that. So yeah, you can say it at any time, but I mean, if they've stopped you for something legitimate, then let them write you the ticket, get the ticket done, and you're free to go. But
there are very few things. If you can think of something legitimate about traffic law, like you don't really need traffic law if somebody's swerving all over the road, crashing into cars or putting people in jeopardy. You don't really need traffic law for that. Everybody can see that what that person is doing is irresponsible and dangerous. You don't really need traffic law for that. I mean, to codify something, I guess nothing wrong with that. If you're jeopardizing lives, if you're threatening lives on the freeway or on the roadway, if you blew through that stop sign and you T-boned somebody and somebody's grandmother was taken out or now she needs hip replacement surgery or whatever, yeah, you should be responsible for that. But other than that kind of thing, driving 75 miles an hour in a 15-mile-an-hour school zone, and like kids are boarding buses and stuff, and you're weaving past the bus like that and screeching your tires. That's pretty dangerous. It seems like you wouldn't even need cops for that. There would be people chasing you down going, dude, my kids are on that street corner and you're putting their lives in jeopardy. But for the most part, traffic law, have you seen the traffic law manual? You seen how thick it is? You seen how many ordinances and violations you can break? You're breaking them all the time. They can literally give you a ticket for a mile an hour over the speed limit, whether they've calibrated their stuff or not. Most people are not going to appeal it. Most people are just going to pay the ticket and let bygones be bygones until the next time they get their wealth extracted from them with some armed road pirate. But most traffic laws are just used to put the law enforcement foot in the door so that they can conduct a fishing expedition and get you on something greater. Think about it. Brookside, Alabama, that only has a population of 1,300 people. 1,300 people. This is a tiny. I thought my town of Tahlequah, Oklahoma was small with 15,000. 1,300 people. And Brookside, Alabama Police Department back 2-3 years ago, before AI.com did that investigative journalism report that really blew the lid off of the fact that they had 2 MRAPs. They spent so much money on accolades and promotions and get so much money. $608,000 they collected, mostly from out-of-state people traveling through, or out of the area people traveling through. 608, almost $750,000 in just traffic fees and fines. That's just little tiny Brookside, Alabama. Now, how many counties do we have in the United States? 3,144 counties in the United States. How many of each of those counties are as bad or worse than Brookside, Alabama? I was just talking with somebody last night, and they said, man, we go through every time we go through this little town in Oklahoma, coming from Dallas, Texas to, Muskogee, every single time we get caught up in their speed trap. Why do they pull you over? Sometimes they don't even have a reason. Just checking on you. We think your license plate is out of date. We think your tail light is out. We think that your license plate is not properly illuminated. Any reason whatsoever to get that armed bandit on the side of your window so you can roll your window down so they can say something stupid like, we smell alcohol coming off your breath. Is that marijuana we smell? And then now, oh my gosh, this feeds the already bruised and damaged egos of law enforcement agencies, and they just feed off of this. These psychopaths who they feel the need to control somebody against their will and without their consent. Yeah, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And there's no place that you can see that more clearly than in the law enforcement ranks. And this guy, to add insult to injury, that's not bad enough. Now we got lawyers who specialize in giving clients information on how they should interact with police officers, giving them misinformation or horrible information that could really sink them.
If they haven't written a ticket and they're piddling around, I mean, sometimes they go back to their car. Let's say you're sitting in your car because you've told them, is that a request or command to get out of my car? And they say that's a request. And then they sit back there in their car for what seems like way too long. You can either wait for them to come back to the car or you can get out. But your next question then may well be appropriate to say, officer, am I free to go? Because if you're not under arrest, you're generally free to go. So at some point, and anybody who's been stopped knows there comes a certain point where if they haven't written you a ticket, you're wondering, what's going on here? Do I have to stay here forever? Or what's the deal? And they can't just keep you there endlessly. So you say, officer, am I free to go? If they say no, you say, am I under arrest?
Sure.
But if you're not under arrest and the stop is pushing the 10 minutes, they pretty much have to cut you loose. And if they don't, if it ends up in front of a prosecutor, the prosecutor's probably going to not bring charges. And even if they do, you're probably going to beat those charges.
So I'm going to take it one step.
So do you want to leave the fate of your life with you'll probably beat those charges? It's not likely you will beat any charge unless you record the interaction. Even if you record the interaction, I mean, the percentage likelihood that you'll come out on top of this really goes up exponentially, but it's not 100% even if you record the interaction. Because you know what happens? Because the judges are humans and they're already in the tank for the thin blue line. And there's this relationship with the court system and the judges and law enforcement where they feed off of each other. And it's all about revenue generation. When you can run more people through the court makes more money. If the court makes more money, the judge gets more money. The cops get more money. The prosecutors get more money. So it's a follow the money scenario. So you need to make it absolutely clear that what was done to you is absolutely unjust. And even when they make the wrong decision, when you have the video recorded evidence, you can still open a YouTube channel like the Civil Rights Lawyer. The Civil Rights Lawyer and Lackluster and James Freeman have gotten court cases overturned and people have gone free once the public views what's going on. It's like, wow, not only did that cop do wrong, but the person who was victimized by the cop recorded the whole thing, and then the judge made the wrong decision. The prosecutor was going after this guy, and there's no reason for it. And then, maybe subconsciously, the audience puts themselves in the person's shoes who got victimized, and they're like, you know what? I wouldn't want that to happen to me. And then they go to the Facebook page of the police department. They start blitzing them. It becomes a PR public relations nightmare for that police department. And then they come out with an apology letter going, we've decided to drop all the charges. Sometimes it's not enough to just record it and go through your court case and then listen to the judge hand down a horrible verdict anyway. Sometimes you got to go public with it. And then a lot of times, a high percentage of the time, when there's a massive public outcry because somebody started a YouTube channel, now justice starts to happen because, hey, when the spotlight turns on and the cockroaches start running, they run out of hiding places, they got to come out with their hands up and go, okay, we made all right. Uncle, we made a bad decision. And that's not even them coming to terms of justice. That's just them wanting to keep a good spot and favor in the eyes of the public that they're claiming to protect and serve. It's all a bunch of shenanigans is what it is.
Further, let's say that you do get arrested.
Yeah, hit the like button, guys. We've only got, let's see, there's 500 and something people in here, and we've only got 383 likes. Can we get to 400? 382 likes. Somebody just dropped a like on that. So 557 people in here. If you hit the like and then you share this video, it really does help overcome the crazy algorithms that we going on here, because there is a lot of suppression, and one of the reasons for it is because the oligarchs who are in control don't want the peons like you and me to be free. They don't want us to have the real knowledge. Knowledge is power. Knowledge applied is wisdom, and wisdom is what breaks the paradigm.
Like they find some beer cans or something that are empty in the back seat, and they use that as probable cause. They search, they find something, they arrest you. I've seen this play out a couple times, and I'm curious what your thoughts are, because typically what you want to do is call an attorney and find representation, because you're going to have a criminal defense scenario that you need to deal with. Do you call that attorney in the back of the cop car?
Well, I mean, if they haven't taken your phone away from you and you're not in handcuffs, perhaps, but
That's just, I mean, in my opinion, I don't know if it's more dumb or irrelevant.
if things are going down the wrong path, then you, as the person that is under scrutiny with the police, just need to say, sir, I'm not going to answer any questions without my lawyer present.
Fair.
And stick to it, because a lot of people hang themselves before the lawyer's ever called.
And part of
Yep.
the reason I bring this up is the number of people that I have talked to over the years that have been in the backseat of a cop car. They're not in handcuffs yet. That's just where they were requested to go to. And they just went trying to comply. And then they call a friend, and then they confess everything that's happening in the back of that cop car to their friend.
Well, and this is why, you know, we can really simplify this. I don't answer questions.
Yeah.
I don't answer questions. You stick with that and you're going to be fine.
It's not good enough. According to some courts, it is not good enough to say I don't answer questions. You have to actually say, because you got to say magical words the right way. You got to say, I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to not incriminate myself, to be silent. And then if you say that, and you say you're going to do that, and you're invoking that, then guess what? Be silent. And I'm not saying that it's never a good idea to talk to cops. But if you talk to cops, you better damn well know what you're talking about and how to do it, and the demeanor with which you should come. Because let's face it, guys, whether you're right or wrong, it's always going to be dangerous to be right when the government is always wrong. So you got to know how to, you are on a tight wire. And one of the reasons you're on a tight wire is because you're dealing with a psychopath. Do psychopaths become cops, or do cops become psychopaths? What order does that actually go in? I think there's a strong case to be made that psychopaths actually become cops, because it's the psychopath who wants power over others, and they don't want you to be able to resist. And you can't resist a cop, even if you're right. Because if you do, they're going to view that as assaulting a police officer, and that's like capital murder almost. Now you're going to get dogpiled. Now the cuffs are going to go. The torture cuffs are torture enough. Now the torture shackles are going to go on you, more severely, tighter. They're going to throw you in the back of the car instead of placing you, because their egos were damaged. When you get into the jail, you'll probably get some special preferential treatment, if you know what I mean. Oh yeah, this guy's a bad guy. You're not going to believe what he did. He actually bruised my already bruised ego, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. We got to give this guy the special treatment. Actually put him in that cell over there where he's more likely to get abused. You don't think that happens? Then you got your head in the sand. There's some super vindictive, retaliatory things that cops will unleash against you without batting an eye. Psychopaths become cops. And it makes me like I'm sweating right now thinking about it, because it happens every day. It's happening right now, hundreds of times all over the United States. People are just traveling, trying to get to and from family with the holidays. Sir, have you been drinking? We suspect that you've been drinking. Why don't you step out of the car? Your family's in the car. I think of Stella, the dog, who was run over by the neighbors, and the family, just distraught family, trying to speed down the highway to get safely speeding, going over the speed limit, going to the vet to try to save Stella's life. And then you got that cop from, what was it, New Mexico or Arizona? I can't remember now. Pulling him over, getting the father to kneel on the hot pavement at gunpoint, holding the son and the mother at gunpoint while the dog is bleeding out. Stella ends up dying. And then we find out mere 2 months, 3 months after that interaction, that the cop who pulled him over, what was it? Was it Jimenez? What was the guy's name? Does anybody remember his name? Because I always want to name the cops. 2 or 3 months later, we find out, lo and behold, this cop is a domestic abuser. Thank God his girlfriend had the wherewithal to record inside their apartment as he was abusing her, grabbing her wrist, threatening her. Does anybody know that cop's name? Was it Arizona? History Bear says the just us criminal system is composed of corrupt politicians, judges, lawyers, prosecution and defense, and badged psychopaths. Was it New Mexico? Now I got to look it up. I'm going to look it up. Let's see. Cop holds family at gunpoint. Yeah, dog dies. Here it is. What's this guy's name? I was hoping we'd have. Let's see. I want to get. That's the YouTube video, the Independent. I don't want to actually play any of that video because it might get struck down. What's the cop's name? Bernalillo Police Department. Bernalillo Police Department. What's the cop's name? Lynn Dyson? No. Yeah, Hernandez is the guy that unloaded his magazine on the back of the copy. Navarez. Officer Navarez. Here it is. A family from New Mexico is held at gunpoint by police after trying to rush their injured dog to a veterinarian. William Albrecht was driving his dog Stella to the vet with his wife and 16-year-old son back in July after the pet was hit by a car. Now, keep in mind, Mr. Albrecht had shorts on. It's July, and it's New Mexico. It's a hot New Mexico day, and Jeremy Navarez, there it is, has him kneel down on the pavement at gunpoint. You'd think the guy just got done shooting up a school or robbing a bank. The family jumped in the car immediately after the Labradoodle was struck near the family's home in Rio Rancho and were speeding down Interstate 550 through Bernalillo when the police cruiser stopped him. Police videos from the traffic stop obtained by this station showed Officer Jeremy Navarez ordering Mr. Albrecht out of the car. And now look at this, just to show you how bad these people are. These criminals holding the rest of us hostage. Domestic. Yeah, here we go. Look at this. Former Bernalillo police officer pleads guilty to domestic battery. Jeremy Navarez has pled guilty to a domestic misdemeanor battery case against him, and she got it all on video. And if she didn't get it on video, nobody would ever have believed her because they believe the thin blue line over the rest of us. That is our situation. You're just fear-mongering, bro. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm telling you the way it is. These people that hold us and our families at gunpoint for trying to take our dogs, and I am going to identify with Mr. Albrecht here because if it happened to Mr. Albrecht at the hands of Jeremy Navarez, it will happen to the rest of us. Someday, somehow, it's just a matter of time. Okay, we're going to finish this nonsense.
Let's just do some rapid fire.
And if you're the owner of the Biker Lawyers YouTube channel, I'm not against you, man. I'm not against you. I'm not trying to draw a wedge of division, but I got to tell you, it's infuriating when a lawyer whose specialty it is to give sound advice to clients says, yeah, if you're commanded to turn your video camera off by a law enforcement officer, you got to turn it off. I hate that advice. That is antithetical to freedom. Turn off the spotlight. Turn off the disinfectant while all the cockroaches crawl all over you. Close the casket door. Why don't you just seal your fate while you're at it?
On cops asking common questions when they pull you over. So first one that tends to happen is, why did I pull you over?
I don't answer questions.
Do you?
Because guess what? That's a perfect example of they're going to use what you say to convict you. They may not even know. They may not have anything, or they may not know how fast you're going. But anytime they're asking questions of that nature, it needs to be, I don't answer questions.
So if they ask you, do you know why I pulled you over?
I don't answer questions.
Do you know how fast you were going?
I don't answer questions.
Et cetera, into oblivion, whatever they're asking, I don't answer questions.
And let me add a little something here. We all know it's not a good idea to drink and drive.
It's actually not. That's actually not good advice. I mean, if you're going to say anything and if you're going to not answer questions, the most sound thing you can say is, I invoke my Fifth Amendment American right to be silent. And then start asking them questions. Or no, actually, if you invoke your right to be silent, you should be silent. Otherwise, you're a hypocrite. See, when you say I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to be silent, and then you're not silent, you put your own credibility on the chopping block. If you're not going to be silent, then don't say you're going to be silent, and don't say you're going to invoke your right to be silent and then not be silent. I just think that's ridiculous.
But if a cop pulls you over, let's say you really have had 2 beers.
Sure.
That's not what you say. When the cop says,
Have you been drinking?
you don't say, yeah, but only 2 beers, thinking that's going to get you out of getting tested. You need to say, I don't answer questions.
Fair enough. If you're in a crash in the Midwest, or you get pulled over by a cop, but mostly if you've had a crash in the Midwest, give us a call for a free consultation. And until next time, speak truth to power. Brought to you by the Bike.
I would say that's not the consultation that you want, because he gives this advice right here. Just to recap.
And what if they tell you to turn off the video camera?
Is that a request or a command?
And if it's a command?
You turn it off.
You turn it off. No, you don't. No, you do not. Why? Because cops lie. They're trained to lie. They will lie. They have a history of lying, and cameras can't lie. So leave your thoughts about this. I promised on a live stream last week that we would do a live stream talking to people who've had their wrists damaged and have permanent nerve damage from their interaction with police officers. I plan on getting around to that in the next couple of days, at least within the week. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel. If you haven't hit the like button by now, go ahead and hit it. If what I say resonates with the truth, share this video. And also, I would like you to go to my Disturbing Illusion of channel. This is my Here's the Deal channel is the police accountability channel. This right here is my political accountability channel, where we expose the left versus right paradigm lie. Put a 1 in the room if you're aware that I even have this channel, because it doesn't seem like a lot of people on this channel know about my Disturbing Illusion channel. And I would like to point out a video that I just released 3 hours ago, because everybody that I know of, and there's tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of people that are currently caught up in this scam right here. It's one of the biggest scams on the internet. I think Steve Lato did something on it a couple days ago after I did my first video on this, but you've got to check out this scam. This is a scam that involves an organization or a company that was purchased by PayPal for not 4 million, not 40 million, not 400 million. It was purchased in 2020 for $4 billion, called Honey. And it's a free browser extension that goes on any browser that you have, where they offer the, quote, best coupons on the internet to give you the best possible deal on whatever you may be buying. It doesn't matter if you're using the Amazon website. It doesn't matter if you're using any merchant website. This browser extension appears on your screen, and when you click it, they steal money from the affiliate program that brought you, and you're traffic, and I am traffic if we're buying stuff, to the website, whether it's Best Buy or whatever. Say you're going to buy a body cam or a dash cam through my affiliate link. Like, for example, let me show you on the Here's the Deal channel, for example. And this gives me an opportunity to explain something to you too. One of the ways that we keep the lights on as content creators, we try to, the content creators who care about their audiences want to put out content that actually helps them, want to give them knowledge they can add to their wisdom bank so that their lives can be improved. One of the ways that we, outside of Google AdSense or revenue or whatever, which, it's not very much when they censor you, is through affiliate links. Now, I did a lot of work on if you want a microphone that's top quality, or if you want a microphone holder, or like this Insta360 camera, the selfie stick we talked about at the very beginning of this. But one of the things that I did also is looked up the best body cams and dash cams, because if you don't have a body cam or dash cam, and I'm not trying to make a sale right here, you can get it from wherever you want to, but when you click on these Amazon links, here's the body cam right here, here's the dash cam, these are some of the best that I've seen. And I took off the browser extension, but if you'll notice right here, and the upper left, let me get rid of this right here. Can I get rid of that? Let's see. Oh, that's not going away because I got it embedded. All right. So what happens if you have the Honey extension, which is owned by PayPal, in the top right-hand corner, this Honey dialog box will come right about here, and it will say, hey, we've got a better price for you than this $165 price. We can give you 10% off or 20% off. And who doesn't want to save money? I've done this. I've gone, oh, Honey is a coupon finder. It goes across all the internet and finds you the best possible price on this product right here. You click on it and it gives you that discount. Often you'll click on it and they're like, well, we thought we found a deal, but we didn't find a deal. Anytime you click on that dialog box, they change the affiliate link. How I get paid on this is they give you a very, very small percentage, like 1-2%, or if that. You get 1 or 2% for this sale. It doesn't cost any extra for you because it's already built into the price from Amazon or whatever. But the affiliate link allows content creators like me to actually keep the lights on and continue doing what we're doing. The Honey app replaces the affiliate link in the background. Nobody sees this, with the a different affiliate code where all the money goes to Honey. This happens billions of times every single day. Anytime that Honey dialog box, even if they're just up to, thank you for using Honey, and there's this box that goes, got it, and you click off of it, and they didn't offer you anything, they didn't give you a better deal, the affiliate link automatically was changed right then. So they actually created an algorithm that steals money from content creators who drive traffic to, like this right here, and like this dash cam right here. By the way, I did a lot of research. This is one of the highest quality in terms of price, in terms of video quality, in terms of audio quality. Same with this right here. This is a 3-channel dash cam. You want 3 channels. 3 channels means channel 1, exterior front, exterior back is channel 2, and cab facing is channel 3. Why do you want cab facing? Because we've seen time after time that the cops will pull you over and say, hey, you weren't wearing your seatbelt. You can't prove it, and it's his word against yours, and the judge is going to believe him, and it's going to be $150, $200 ticket. One seatbelt ticket proving the cop wrong, and you will have it on video. It's like, I was wearing my seatbelt when he said I wasn't. You get out of that $220 ticket. You completely paid for this dash cam, and with one freaking ticket. The reason I like this also is it's got the speed. You can plug this into a program that shows your exact location, the speed you were driving, the direction you were going, where you were at, the time you were there, and you can prove everything. And you don't have to rely on the cop's word or his report or his dash cam or his body cam, because you'll probably never see it. Just go ahead and chalk it up. So I said all that to say, check out this. Where is it? Check out this video right here. I'll put the link. I've already done one. Matter of fact, I'll put the link in the chat for you. If you have not seen this, and if you're using the Honey, why not create a 360 cam? That's a good idea, but the 360 cam would only be stationed either on the front of your vehicle, the back of your vehicle, or in the cab of your vehicle. And while you can see 360, you can't see through the car. So if you have a dash cam that has 3 channels, you can see out, you can see in the back, and in the front and in the cab. So I don't know if maybe they have a 360 cam. I actually use this anyway. I use the 360 and the dash cam because, babe, I'm telling you, I said babe because I'm constantly calling Trish babe, because I'm telling you, the more cameras you have, the better off you are. The more angles you can get with police criminality, the better off you will be. I can't believe I called my audience babe. History Bear says, I never use Honey because the scam PayPal owns it. Yeah, PayPal is basically a scam. And you know what's interesting? Mainstream media hasn't even exposed this. If you go to my video, I've actually put the original link right here. Check this out. This thing has almost 10 million views. It has 9.7 million views in 4 days. And some of the people who got scammed are people like Mr. Beast, Mark Rober, this guy named Marquise, I can't remember his last name, but all these social media influencers, the guy who exposed Honey and the PayPal scam has estimated that this affected, and still affects, but at least at the time of the printing of this or the publishing of this video, has affected 7.9 billion views worth of links. That's unfathomable. We are not talking about millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions. We're talking about potentially tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions of dollars of revenue that has been funneled to Honey from every affiliate link. This even affects people who have, let's say you have a donut shop or a flower shop in your local town, and they set up a website, and there's a payment processor, and there's a merchant link or whatever, and you go to buy this certain amount of flowers. They'll say they're hooked up with FTD Florist, and they go to buy this flower arrangement for your mom for Mother's Day. Honey's the extension on the browser, so Honey can actually come up on that and scalp that sale. That's how bad it is. Plus, there's a lot of people on there saying that they actually data mine you, and there's like spyware in the back end that was installed on your computer through this extension. So they're making money every which way. And it's completely, according to some, according to lawyers, fraudulent. And if this guy right here who did this year-long investigation disappears, follow the money. Follow the money. So yeah, so I will put this link again in the chat. I don't even remember if I did it. So put this link in the chat room. Go over to the Disturbing Illusion channel, because we deal with more than that. But this is just one of those things. And I'm telling you guys, there's crazy stuff going on. You got to pay attention. You got to be aware. You got to add to your knowledge. You got to walk in wisdom. That's the only way we can change things. If it is to be, it's up to me. If you want to change your world, you got to change your life. Live healthier. Live smarter. Live without fear. Be aware, but live without fear. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the Global Thought Police, guys. I really appreciate you guys being here. I will see you guys in the next live stream. Well, you know what? Before I leave, there's another video that I want to show you that I'm about to do. I might do a live stream on it. Let me know if you guys want me to do a live stream on it. Oh man, it's a guy who got into an accident with a U-Haul. It was just uploaded by Midwest Safety. It's a perfect video to watch to instill the fact that when we encounter law enforcement agents, we need to shut the front door. Be quiet. Stop incriminating yourself, especially if there's two people in the cab of your truck or car. You guys need to come to an agreement before that cop comes to the window. Okay, if he asks us questions, because they're going to separate you, and they're going to try to get a story from person A, and they're going to try to get a story from person B. And if your story conflicts and they consider that you have lied to the cops, that's a federal offense. They're going to lay charges on you for obstruction of justice and all that kind of stuff. Yes, you should shut up around cops if you're alone. But how much more should you shut up if there's two or three of you? Okay, guys, cop is coming to the door. We have to agree on this one thing. If they ask us questions, we don't answer. Just plead the fifth. Don't even get into a discussion with them. Because if you start talking to them and you say something different than I say, they're going to charge us all with obstruction of justice. Does everybody understand what I'm saying there? Does everybody understand? Put a 1 in the room if you understand what I'm saying. And if you haven't done so already, hit that like button, share this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, remember, freedom is dangerous. It's scary. It's unpredictable. I get it. It's almost uncontrollable. But you know what else is more scary, infinitely more scary, unpredictable and uncontrollable, is not having freedom. We definitely, we're in dire straits right now, but we definitely don't want to get to the point where we got nothing. At least now we have the semblance of something, and we can probably work with that. I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. Take care.